Hi, Freedom Revamp family. My name is Madison Thompson, and we are doing our Women Empowering Women panel. So today we have Miss Vanessa and Miss Jordan. So today we're going to talk about empowering each other and mental health. I have a few questions for you guys. Do y'all mind introducing yourselves?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Vanessa Carden. So I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. I work in Orange County, California. I'm also a professor over at Hope International University, where I teach a couple classes over there. And yeah, I do a lot of speaking. I work for a nonprofit called Bloom, where we help young girls with low self-esteem after being bullied. So my hands are in a lot of things, but I primarily work in private practice in Orange County as a therapist.
Okay, hi, my name is Jordan. I have my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. Name my business is called Style Your Story. I'm very big on helping people define the why behind what they do. Instead of just doing a business, I try to help people figure out why they're doing it so they can hone into their community online. I specialize into brand marketing and brand strategy, and pretty much I just like helping people grow their business in an organic way so that they're able to sustain success and also maintain it.
I love that. Well, nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining. So, the first question that I have is for you, Vanessa, and it is, how has the scope of mental health evolved since COVID-19?
That's a big question. And so the unique thing with COVID-19 is it's impacted the entire world. And so everyone experienced some sort of trauma through experiencing COVID, whether that be in isolation, being alone, loss of job. And so every single individual was impacted in this. The fear of the unknown, all of those things. So anyone who had any pre-existing mental health condition may have gotten worse, and anyone who may have never had any mental health condition are experiencing symptoms for the first time, right? So anxiety, depression, grief, and loss. And so that's a huge involvement. Everyone's in need of therapy, or at least everyone could benefit from therapy. And then the unique thing from the therapist side is that we now are using telehealth as a platform, which for most therapists, at least for me, I never used telehealth before COVID. So now to be able to access people who aren't just in my area, to be able to access people in San Diego, Los Angeles, all over California, now widens my ability to see more clients, to see more people in need. So now you have therapists seeing more clients, reaching more people needing therapy. But overall, I mean, everyone is just grieving, right? This has been a huge loss and we're still in it. And so the anxiety is really high. And so being able to address those needs as a therapist, especially kind of managing our own stuff, because as therapists, we weren't not in it as well. And so we have to cope with our own stuff as well. So it's a really unique experience. But it's difficult.
Thank you for sharing. Jordan, so the next question is for you, and it is, what systems or experiences inform your creative process?
This is a really good question. I feel like as business owners or content creators, social media kind of makes us feel like, oh my gosh, I have to keep up with all of the trends. I have to continue to post content repeatedly. And sometimes I just have to be like, I feel like stepping away, just doing things that I love, or like hanging out with my friends, or just sometimes sleeping. I like to take a nap. Okay. So I'm gonna take a nap. And I feel like with my creative process, I can't force it. So if it's not natural, or I feel like I'm just trying to make myself come up with this idea, I'm not going to do it. I know back in the day, I did used to try to do it, and I wasn't creating from a space that was genuine. It was just like I felt like I was performing. And I feel like that wasn't my best work when I feel like I was just trying to keep up. So I feel like right now, the systems I put in place is when I do have ideas, is to brainstorm and write them down. I may not start on it then, but I can always come back, look at my notebook and try to be like, okay, I had this idea then. Am I inspired to actually continue to like damper into more what this can, come out to? Um, as far as experiences, being around other people that are also creative or, do the same things as me. You can't really be inspired if you're not around things or people that inspire you. You're just kind of pulling from your brain, and sometimes it's just nothing. I know I get creative blocks all the time. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, oh my God, I want to create so bad, but it's a block. So I guess the system is just stepping away. If you got to go to sleep, take a little nap, get outdoors. And also, as soon as you have ideas, write them down, because sometimes you are going to forget and you feel like, oh, I'll come back to it, and it doesn't come back. So I always just like to keep it on my notes or my notebook, and then like sit down and try to go over some ideas that I was like, maybe I could try doing this again.
I
So
love
yeah.
that. I feel like work-life balance definitely helps when it comes to creativeness, and it helps you kind of reset and get those juices flowing again.
Yes, for sure.
So the next question is for you, Miss Vanessa, and it is, what is your approach to treating mental health?
Treating mental health in general, or treating women in general? Do you want me to be specific with women?
Yes.
Okay. So with women, so I don't want to make generalizations. However, women are typically 85-90% of the time are going to be diagnosed with eating disorders. They're twice as likely to be affected with major depressive disorder. They're twice as likely to be affected with anxiety, depression, right? PTSD, women are more likely to be affected than males due to childhood and, sexual trauma, abuse, being raped, things like that. And so women typically come in most to therapy, and they are mostly seen with these diagnoses, especially hormonal issues, right? So dealing with postpartum depression. And so there's a wide range of things that women are struggling with. And I think for me, my approach when I treat these women is coming back to the root of, who do you want to be? And what has the expectation been of you that's maybe creating some of this anxiety or even depression? Are you living the life that you were told to live versus maybe what you wanted to live? We're really moving into a really great space where women may not have to have children, may not have to get married, right? To do these things that are very expected of them. But that is a huge identity crisis for a female, to feel like, well, if I don't have kids, am I doing like my duty as a woman, as a female, right? Or maybe I can't have kids. And so really helping women build that self-esteem and reestablish what their purpose is, redefining what it means to be a woman, what they want their life to look like, and that it's okay to change that, right? Maybe you want a career and you're all about your career and you're in your mid-30s, and then that changes to where, gosh, I really want to be married and have a kid, and that's okay, right? Like there's so many directions that you can go as a female, and really working through that trauma, maybe the trauma of sexual abuse, but even kind of more lowercase t traumas of, your parents making comments, your dad making comments, right? Of body issues, right? Like your body should look a specific way. I am in Orange County area, and I know that that's really hard for women to be a very specific look, have your extensions and your eyelashes done, your lips done, your Botox, right? And so if you don't look like this, then what does that mean?
Right.
And I think that's the biggest work that I do with women is we treat the trauma. I specialize in trauma. So we treat the trauma, but underneath the trauma is the identity. Who are you? And really kind of identifying the needs of a woman, that it might be more than having a child, but also if it is, that's okay too. And really living out their full purpose with, I think Jordan does a really good job with, of, okay, what is your purpose? And then what does that look like career wise, and stepping into that. So yeah, that's mainly kind of how I approach treating women in mental health.
I love that. I feel like I recently felt that too, like the identity crisis type thing with tr- figuring out what I wanted my major to be and wanted to be who my parents want me to be
Mm-hmm.
versus who I want to be. So I worked through that. I didn't have a therapist, but I got it done.
Great. That's so great. And that's awesome that you're self-aware enough to kind of see that, that you were wrestling with that and identifying that, especially working through that on your own. That's really great.
Yes. So the next question is for you, Jordan, and it is, um, how has your growth as a woman contributed to your growth as an artist?
Ooh, that's a double-edged sword question. I feel like we're always growing as women. I feel like when I feel like I reach my peak, I'm like, no, sis, you still have some growing to do. I feel like for me, just giving myself grace. I feel like we put so much expectations on ourselves, like I have to have this done at a certain time, or look at my friends doing this and that. And it's like you cannot rush the process. And I think that's what I'm learning even today. Like my journey is my journey, even if it takes me longer than somebody else. At the end of the day, where I'm supposed to be is where I'm supposed to be at every given moment. So I feel like for me, I do feel like since I've been like a content creator, literally since I was like 13, I should be at a certain point right now, but life happens, especially like the pandemic. Like life threw us all off and it threw our goals off. So it's like, oh my gosh, where do I pick myself up from here? But I have to realize like growth is on your timeline. It's nobody else's. So even if I feel like I'm behind, I'm also, what is that quote? I'm not where I used to be, but thank God. No, I forgot that quote. It's like, thank God I'm not where I used to be, but I'm also glad, like, basically I'm progressing. I can't remember the quote per line. But anyways, I'm not where I used to be. And I think that pertains to my growth as an artist because I can look at old work saying, oh my gosh, that was so ugly. But people thought it was so cute. And I can see my work now. I'm like, wow, I really progressed. And I can see the growth in just the way I do things. So I actually started off as a videographer and I used to just record stuff on my phone. And even though I was amateur, I have gotten better with storytelling and because I used to like put like a lot of special effects in my videos. And if you look at it, it'll just probably hurt your head with all these lights and like fonts. But now I'm like, okay, slow it down. It doesn't have to be all of that, less is more. I really focus in on like the setting of the music so it brings like the right tone for the video. And then I also focus on having a beginning, middle, and end. Before when I was doing videos, I was just throwing stuff together that looked cool and had special effects and I feel like for me, I'm a storyteller, so it just really didn't make sense. But now I'm like, okay, I've definitely changed and evolved in that, especially as well as being a brand strategist. I used to be very big on numbers, like, you need to have, really good likes to show that people actually see your stuff. I'm very big on community. I think somebody that follows you that is willing to comment and say, oh my gosh, I really love what you posted. Oh my gosh, just encourage me, trumps a like. Because at the end of the day, you pretty much made some type of change in their life from whatever you posted and they got something from it. And so now that I do brand strategy, I always tell my clients now it's not about, of course, it is about that. You want success, you want the reach, you want the exposure, you want the followers, you want the likes, you want the shares, you want all of these things. But let's focus on the community that you have right now. If you only have 100 followers, if you're able to even get half of those 100 followers, because it's not about numbers, because some people have lots of followers and their engagement is low.
Right.
So I'm just kind of like, don't worry about that. If you have 100 followers and maybe about like, I don't know, 20 of them got something or they connect with your content, then you've done your job. So yeah, I just feel like growth is linear and it's at your own pace.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So the next question is for you, Miss Vanessa, and it is, what does success mean to you, and how has that concept evolved over time?
Yeah, that's a good question. So success has definitely evolved over time. I ask myself on a regular basis, am I making an impact? That is how I measure success. If I can answer yes, then I feel successful in that. Someone that I really admire is Oprah Winfrey. And one of her goals in life is to reach the utmost self-actualization. That is my goal, but also my goal when I help people is how can me, everyone that I come in contact with as clients, when I speak, whatever that looks like, how can we be the best versions of ourselves? How can we be the healthiest versions of ourselves? How can we start reaching self-actualization? Because through that, we start doing our purpose. And when we're all functioning in a healthy space and then we're doing our purpose, the world changes for the best, right? And so part of why the world is so broken is because humans are broken. We are broken. We're responding out of our trauma bodies. We're responding out of our insecurities, our pain, our judgments, our expectations. And so when we can get to a healthy place and we can be healthy, we start impacting other people. And so for me, when I was younger, success was very inwardly focused. So what can I achieve for myself? I want to get married and I want to own a home and I want to do this and that. And those goals may still be there in the background as far as like, yeah, that would be great. I would like to be financially, independent, all these things. Those are still goals, but that to me is not successful. When I leave my office at the end of seeing, X amount of clients for the day, that feels successful is, gosh, I got to just sit and be with another human and talk about our brokenness and talk about how to heal. And that person's going to leave my office a little bit healthier, and they're going to impact the person, you know, that they're in relationship with, and you know, ongoing. And so that to me is the greatest success, is if the world can just be a better place, that is the goal. But, you know, in the small things that I can do, in impacting each individual that I come in contact with, as far as mental health goes, right? And so the healing, the trauma work, the abandonments, the, you know, insecurities, to be able to heal that and help people in that, there's no greater success to me than being able to do that, but for myself as well, because I can't help people if I'm not, you know, living out of my own best self. So that's how I would define it. Very different than how I would define it when I was younger. So it's evolved significantly over time. What was important to me before is not as important to me now. So it's definitely, you know, more about that outward focus instead of that kind of inward for myself now.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So how did you get to that point of you doing the inward focus instead of the outward of what society kind of wants you to be?
Yeah, I think because it's never enough. And so everything that you achieve, it's like, okay, now what? And it gets really exhausting. And so I accomplished a lot. I still accomplish a lot, and I'm never satisfied. And so I found that to be a really dark hole of success being this never ending rat race. And when I started seeing success as more, gosh, what is my overall goal in life? And for me, I'm very passionate about just helping people heal. Like, that's it. And so that could look different for everyone. I don't think that necessarily needs to be everyone's goal. But when I found myself looking outwards, I was way more fulfilled. I felt happier. I felt more fulfilled. I realized I'm doing it now. And so there isn't so much striving. I'm doing it now every day. And so I felt more at peace with where I was at. I just kind of realized you're never really happy with the milestones that society has put in place. Do this, and then you'll be happy, you know, do this and that. And I did a lot of those things and I wasn't happy. So I think that's kind of when that shifted. And that was probably recently, within 5 years or so. So that's not, you know, my whole life I thought that way. That was probably when I started becoming a therapist and really entering into that realm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is for you, Miss Jordan, and it is, what or who motivates you to keep going and growing?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I don't think I really have like a huge, like, oh my gosh, I just look up to you. I don't know. I'm gonna probably say myself. I think I motivate me to keep going and growing because it's just like, when I look at myself, I know it's always more work to do, and it's always more things that I can, you know, really see where my potential is going to go. I feel like I motivate myself to keep going is because I haven't reached my peak yet, and I haven't really seen, you know, my potential able to actually see some of these things into fruition. I'm not done growing. I also feel like as you grow older, it's also a lot of learning and relearning. I mean, unlearning and relearning things. And I kind of feel like in order for me to become that girl, as this has become a trend on TikTok and Instagram, I have to be this girl. I have to heal. I have to shed. I have to cry. I have to outgrow certain behaviors. And once I do that, I feel like when I walk into certain rooms or certain places, I can show up and be that girl because I overcame being the insecure, the unmotivated, you know, the self-sabotage, the depressed me. But now that once those are gone, I've grown into a whole new person where depression doesn't hit me like it used to. You know, self-sabotage doesn't, you know, torment me, and I don't feel like I'm unqualified for certain jobs. So I feel like I motivate myself because it's just like, you know, when we're younger, we have these imaginations like, I want to be this when I grow older. I feel like I haven't really pleased my younger self. I feel like if I was like younger now, I technically would not say I would be proud of myself because I haven't reached my peak. Now, once I reach my peak, I can say, okay, Jordan, you really did it. Like all these things you say you're going to do, you did it. And not even that. It's not even about, as Vanessa said, about milestones and reach. Because like you said, when you reach certain things, that may not still ever fulfill you, you know. And also, so you have to ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Like, am I doing it for my family? Am I doing my friend? Am I doing it to stun on people that didn't believe in me? Or am I literally saying like, I did this for me because I saw the potential and I want to see myself finish this race. So I feel like we're all constantly growing, and who's better than you, you know?
Thank you. Okay, so the last question that I have is for both of y'all, and it is, what lessons do you have to share with your 14-year-old self?
That's a loaded question. It's a lot of stuff.
Oh, that poor 14-year-old when I think
know.
about that girl. Man, I would tell her to breathe. I was in very survivor mode at that age. I remember there was a lot of trauma. And gosh, I would just give her a hug. I think the biggest thing I would tell that 14-year-old is, it's so dumb, but just that it's going to be okay. I just really didn't think it was going to be okay. I remember that age just being really terrified, really alone, really scared, just trying to get through the day. And I think and a lot of kids that age have a lot of stress and pressure, like unnecessary stress and pressure. It's okay. Like everyone's going to be okay. We're all going to be fine. If you don't go to college, if you don't all is well, you will figure it out. The pressure is just so intense. So I think, I would just say, stop trying so hard to make everyone else happy. Take this time to learn about yourself, because those people aren't going to be in your life in 10 years. And, this is the best time to learn about yourself and grow. So just, kind of focus on that and take a breath, drink some water, just relax. I remember having a lot of anxiety at that time. So, just to breathe and relax. It's going to be okay. It's always okay. You're going to be okay. That's what I would share with my 14-year-old self.
The lessons I feel like I would tell my 14-year-old self, I feel like that's when I kind of tapped into like my creative side. I didn't know it was content creation, all this other stuff, but I would tell my 14-year-old self, don't lose your wonder. I feel like as an adult, I've gotten so beaten down by like life. And as a child, it's just like you have the freedom to just be you. Like you don't have to worry about bills and figuring out, what I'm going to do with my life. I would just tell myself, like, don't lose that even when things get hard. Because sometimes I wish I had that back again. Because it's like you have sometimes being a child, it's a lot too. You still have like insecurities and stuff. But I feel like I had so much more confidence than I do kind of now, because life has really beat me down and has gotten the best of me. And sometimes those dreams and imaginations, I don't care anymore. I'm just like, I don't care. Maybe I just will just get a job. Maybe entrepreneurship is not for me. Maybe I'm not as talented as I thought. Versus when I was a child, I'm like in my room making videos because I'm bored in the summer and like putting them on YouTube. I thought I wanted to be a singer, y'all. So I have like so many videos on YouTube when I was 13. But it's just like, I was just free to be myself. I didn't have a lot of friends. So I would just set up my little, webcam and just record myself. And I would also just tell my 14-year-old self is that you are who God says you are. I'm a believer. And I feel like sometimes we get away from who we are in God and we find our identity in other things. We find our identity in relationships. We find our identity in our friends. We think our also identity is in our gifts. It's not. Because I remember when I was going through depression and I wasn't motivated to do my business anymore, and also just anything that I used to be passionate about. And I'm like, well, dang, what do I do now? Like, now that I'm not motivated to do, I'm not passionate, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I really had to realize, like, I'm also not my gifts. So right now as an adult, I'm also just trying to find I'm trying to get back to my childhood wonder. I'm trying to find hobbies, things that do not identify me with this is what I do. No, this is like just what I like to do for fun. I'm trying to, maybe I want to maybe do a painting class. I kind of actually want to find a hobby that pushes me, maybe like some swimming lesson, like something that actually physically makes me feel like what it feels like to not give up and I have to accomplish this goal. I know one of my friends actually started pole dancing classes, and not like, to be sexual or anything, but it's actually hard work. Like you have to have upper body strength. She actually started documenting her journey too, from how when she first started versus now. She was trying her best, like trying to get up the pole. She was trying to turn around and she was sliding down. Now her pole is just so, it's so, she's really good now. Like it's so peaceful. peaceful, and she does it like in her sleep. I have to show y'all her page. It's beautiful. Or even cooking. I don't like cooking, y'all, but I do want to learn it. I feel like cooking is like a skill, and it's a skill I can learn to love. You know, we always say, "Oh, I can't do that," but it's like I don't know if I could do it unless I try. So it's like I'm just trying to get back to that childlike wonder, because it's like when you're young, nobody can tell you anything. If you say you want to do this, it's like when I get older, I'm gonna be a celebrity. Like ain't nobody gonna tell me anything. Like, you know, we dress up and we just have like this imagination, and nobody can tell us that you can't. You just believe it. You know, of course, you have, unfortunately, you know, being a child, you do have people around you, like your parents or family, saying you'll never do that. But before that discouragement comes in, and, you know, people speak those words over you, before that happens to a lot of kids, you believe whatever your mind tells you. And it's like so many of us as an adults need to get back to stop trying to perform. Like just be, just do without any type of permission. You know, it doesn't matter. Like we all got to die one day anyways. Who cares? Like do what you want to do and just be happy. You know, I don't want to be at a job where I just like, oh my gosh, the money's great, but I hate my job. You know, or, you know, a lot of people during the pandemic, I feel like that really hit home. Like, okay, now that my job is not like letting me go, or we're working from home, a lot of people start a business. You know, they probably didn't even know what business was in them. Or a lot of people switched careers. A lot of people quit. A lot of people tapped into their childlike wonder and was like, you know, I wonder if I went this route, what would happen? And a lot of people became successful from the pandemic because they had time to sit with themselves, to unlearn, relearn, digest their emotions, and like have faith in themselves again. So I would just tell my 14-year-old self, like, sis, don't ever lose dreaming, hoping, believing, because you can do whatever you put your mind to.
I love that. Thank y'all for sharing. Can y'all tell us how our followers can keep up with you guys? Give your Instagram handles, YouTube, etc.
Yeah, so my website is vanessacardencounseling.com. Pretty easy. And my Instagram is strong.sense.self. Wait, strong sense of self, and there's a period in each one. So strong sense of self is the Instagram with a dot between each word, and then website is vanessacardencounseling.com. So my private practice is located in Orange County, Yorba Linda specifically. And yeah, you can follow me on those.
You guys can follow me at Pages of Jordan. My middle name is Paige, so I kind of did a word flip because I feel like my life is a book. So Pages is spelled Paiges of Jordan. My business page on Instagram is Style Your Story _ kind of doing a revamp, but you can still follow me. And I think that's pretty much, like, TikTok is private. Y'all can find me on the For You page. I'm not promoting.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
I just saw that someone commented a question. So are y'all willing to answer one more question?
Yeah, of course.
So this question is from, I don't want to butcher the name, so I'm not going to say it. But they asked, who is your biggest cheerleader?
I have a best friend, and he really is my cheerleader. He is always supporting me and loving me. He has, he has loved me when I didn't think I could be loved. So he's my biggest cheerleader. And I have very close friends. I have very good friends. I would say my support system is very, very strong. I have a close knit of friends, and they have been through a lot with me. They've seen a lot of my experiences. And so anytime that I'm like, yeah, I'm done, I'm good, I could go, like, all is well, it's my time, they have just really been like, you keep going. So I would say my friends, my close friends.
I would say my mom, and I have a very close friend. I don't have a lot of friends because, you know, this is hard making friends out here in your 20s. But my mom, because, like, she has seen everything, like everything. And I've had struggles with my mom, but I feel like one thing she hasn't is she's always supported my creative journey. I know sometimes parents are like, you just need to go to school. You just need to, do the traditional route. She's always been like, no, like, if this is what you want to do, I support you, 100%. And I'll also say one of my closest friends, she was even more excited about this tonight than me. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna speak. But it's like, she was like, no, she was just like encouraging me, like, even if you just touch one person, that's really what counts. It's not about always having, a room full of people. And also just, she was very like, about the topics that just about mental health. She said that's very big, that y'all are even touching on this type of subject. And also too, she has been here, through thick and thin, because sometimes in friendships, people is seasonal and people come and go. And, when you even go through your mental health phases, some of your friends don't know how to deal with that. She's been somebody that's like, listen, she even said, even though y'all, this is low key illegal, she was like, you can use my insurance to use a therapist. You can just use my name. So I feel like that's a biggest cheerleader, because it's like mental health also trumps everything else. If you are not well here, you can't be well out there.
Right.
So I feel like, yeah, she's my biggest cheerleader.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us at the live. I've learned so much from you guys, so thank you. You touched
Thank you
me.
for having us. Oh, thank you for having us. It was an honor to get your guys' email, to even be asked to come on.
Yes.
And I always love being able to give just a little bit of knowledge. And like Jordan said, you never know who's listening and stuff. So thank you for having us. I appreciate that a lot.
Yes, for sure.
Well, y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
You too.